Breaking tonight, a plane carrying Vice Presidential Mike Pence just slid off the runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport. And we just got exclusive video from inside of the plane. The very first images of what was going on as the aircraft carrying Governor Pence and the press pool slid down the tarmac, unable to stop. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. You're looking at brand new pictures of the moment a plane carrying the vice presidential nominee on the GOP ticket slid off the runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport on a rainy night here in Manhattan. In just a moment, we are going to hear from the Fox News producer who was on board that plane about the governor's actions as this happened. He shot this exclusive video. But first, we go to Trace Gallagher, who's at the breaking news desk with what we know. Trace?
We should know, Megyn, that the 737, which touches down around 120 miles per hour, was, according to that same producer, Dan Gallo, coming in kind of hot. He was on board the plane, and then he says it began skidding. And to quote him, he says it was the craziest landing he's ever experienced. He smelled burning rubber before it finally came to rest in the grass at the end of the runway. We are told that Mike Pence then came to the back of the plane to see that everyone on board was okay. The planes we're talking about kind of use a combination of brakes and reverse thrusters. But one of the reasons you don't see 747s flying in and out of LaGuardia is because the runways are not that long. This runway is about 7,000 feet. That's about 3,000 feet shorter than you'd find at Newark or JFK. Now, as a rule, 737s only need about 4,000 feet. But when you talk about rainy weather like they have tonight in LaGuardia, that clearly changes the map. It's hard to tell when you look at the pictures from which angle and which direction the plane came in. But remember, anybody who's flown in and out of LaGuardia knows they have water at the end of the runways. This plane slid only as far as the grass, and the passengers stayed on the plane for about 10 minutes before rescue teams arrived. They brought down the exit. Everybody walked off board. The governor reportedly was traveling with campaign advisors, the media, as we said, as well as his wife and daughter. We're told that Donald Trump did reach out to Mike Pence and says that he's glad everyone on board is safe. There appears, if you look at the plane, there appears to be some damage to the runway, but no noticeable damage to the airplane itself. But this plane's not leaving for a while, Megyn.
Wow. Trace, thank you. Joining us now with more, Dan Gallo. He's the Fox News producer traveling with Governor Pence, and he was on that plane and shot that video we've just been looking at together. Dan, thanks for joining us tonight by phone. So was it obvious when the plane was landing that you were in trouble?
Well, you know, I've mentioned to some other people tonight that we've had some really interesting landings in this plane. I can't explain why. They've been really rough landings. But so we've kind of gotten used to that. This one felt like we were being pulled off to the side. And it's frankly a sensation that I've never felt before in landing. It didn't feel right. I don't know aircraft that well. I just knew that it didn't feel right. But then again, I couldn't see much outside of the window of the plane, so I couldn't really tell if we were in the grass, if we were going sideways on the runway or whatever. But it definitely felt like it was pulling to one side. And then it came to a really abrupt stop after it felt like they had been jamming on the brakes for the duration of the landing.
And then, like any good producer, you took out your cell phone and started filming things once things settled down. You can see there's certainly no panic on board the flight. What was the first you saw of Governor Pence?
I would say about a minute or two after landing, he walked back and asked if everyone was okay. And, of course, everyone was fine. I mean, we were all wearing our seatbelts. If we hadn't been wearing our seatbelts, it could have been a problem. But everyone was fine. As he was walking away, I said, Governor Pence, 2016, because it feels like this was all, everything else has happened in 2016. Why not this?
And so did you have to go down the emergency slide to get out? I mean, how did you exit the aircraft?
No sliding. We waited for several minutes. We could see emergency lights outside the windows of the plane. Couldn't see a whole lot because the rain was kind of fogging up the windows of the plane. But yeah, we walked down the stairs. Somehow they got stairs to us, and we walked down where there was emergency personnel outside the plane.
Great. So everyone is okay, including the governor, including you. Glad to hear it. And as you say, Dan Gallo, 2016. We've experienced that too. Great to see you, Dan.
I got some mud on my shoes after tonight.
Great to hear from you. All the best to you. Glad to hear everyone's all right. Also breaking tonight, with just 12 days until Americans elect their next president, there is growing pressure on Hillary Clinton to respond to the latest leaked campaign emails. These notes detail the most lucrative time in Bill and Hillary Clinton's careers, the years after they left the White House, and while Mrs. Clinton served as Secretary of State. A new Wikileaks release revealing a memo written by Clinton Foundation executive Doug Band. In it, Doug Band details what he calls, quote, Bill Clinton, Inc., an operation to enrich the Clintons by steering top-tier corporations to donate to the Clinton family charity and bankroll the Clintons' lifestyle, even contributing millions to the Clinton family's personal fortune. We've got a big lineup for you tonight on 2016, including Charles Krauthammer, filmmaker Michael Moore, and Trump spokesperson Katrina Pearson. But we begin tonight with Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry and the story behind Clinton Incorporated. Ed?
Good to see you, Megan. After November 8th, some of the world's most influential corporations may still be pouring money into the Clintons' personal coffers. That's because while Bill and Hillary Clinton have promised to swear off new fundraising for the foundation if she's elected, this leaked memo suggests the door is wide open for millions of dollars in consulting fees to continue flowing to Bill Clinton, even if his wife is president. Today on the trail, Donald Trump was all over the release of this damaging email detailing what you called Bill Clinton, Inc. That was not coming from Trump. That's coming from former Clinton confidant Doug Band. Now on the outs after he alleged it was a strategy, actually, to steer donors for the foundation to hire Mr. Clinton for speeches and consulting. The 2011 memo revealing the plan, quote, yielded more than $30 million for him personally, with $66 million to be paid out over the next 9 years, meaning it could continue from 2011 to 2020 or the end of his wife's first term if she's in office, unless, of course, there's public pressure and Bill Clinton is forced to sever some of those contracts. Now, Band wrote the memo after Chelsea Clinton blew the whistle on allegations that his company, Teneo, was making money off of access to her father. He fired back. The foundation literally had about 500 conflicts of interest. He further alleged the former president was collecting money from at least 3 sponsors of CGI, the Clinton Global Initiative, and had accepted personal gifts as well. The Clinton camp has so far refused to even acknowledge the authenticity of these WikiLeaks emails, but the company Band co-founded did confirm the accuracy of his memo, though they insist tonight Teneo never benefited financially from the charity, Megan.
Ed, thank you. The question tonight is, how much does this stunning new information reinforce some of the worst perceptions of Hillary Clinton? And how much does it matter just 12 days away from the election? Tom Bevan is co-founder and publisher of RealClearPolitics.com. Bill Burton's a former Obama White House deputy press secretary. And Monica Crowley is a Fox News contributor. Great to see you all. Monica, let me start with you on those 2 questions.
Well, Megan, we know that the most problematic scandals for any candidate are the ones that reinforce a pre-existing negative notion about that person. The problem for Mrs. Clinton is that these constant WikiLeaks disclosures remind voters of 30 years of Clintonian corruption, and it also reinforces a sense of pure exhaustion that most people feel when exposed to the Clintons for any length of time. When you're getting this constant WikiLeaks drip, drip, drip of pay to play and the idea that Mrs. Clinton leveraged her public office as Secretary of State to enrich herself, her husband, and their foundation, I think it really tells voters that it gives them a glimpse of the past, what we experienced, first of all, with the first Clinton presidency, and a glimpse of the future in terms of what a Hillary Clinton presidency would be, and that's not a good look for her.
The thing is, Bill, it makes it sound like that Bill Clinton was getting rich as he solicited donations for his charity. It was like, a little for the charity, and what about Bill? Hey, here I am, right? You know, right? And she's not even promising to shut this thing down, you know, if she becomes president.
Megan, first of all, we can't let this conversation get too far down the tracks without saying Russia is trying to have an impact on our election.
I know.
They
We've been told
these documents. They've not been confirmed by the Clinton campaign.
They shouldn't be messing with our election.
Oh, yeah, Russia's not any good. Putin wants Donald Trump to be president. That's why this is public to begin with.
It's true. That is all true and valid.
I think
now
at
let's
this
talk
point,
about it.
yes. But second point, at this point in the election, voters are voting. 10 million voters have voted. The rest of the voters in the final days here are trying to decide who's the best person to be commander-in-chief. If you look at this news and you're a Trump supporter, it reinforces what you already thought about the Clintons. If you're a Clinton supporter, you think, okay, whatever, enough with all the WikiLeaks. For the folks in the middle, they're trying to decide who's going to be the best commander-in-chief. This is not going to have any impact whatsoever on whether or not people think Hillary Clinton should or should not be the commander-in-chief. Donald Trump is running out of paths to 270 electoral votes, and this does not create a new one for him.
All right, so let's pick it up there, Tom, with you on the polling and whether you agree that Donald Trump is running out of paths to 270, because the Trump camp believes they have momentum. The Fox News poll that just came out shows her leading only by 3 and shows her lead shrinking and shows his standing with independents getting better and his standing with Republicans getting better as well.
Well, look, I agree with Bill that Trump is behind right now and certainly has a lot of ground to make up. But where I would disagree with Bill is that, look, this is, those voters in the middle are trying to decide, right? And this reinforces all the worst perceptions. Whenever the one thing we know about this election is whoever's under the spotlight suffers. Clinton is now under the spotlight because of this. And the other thing is that, one of the things that Hillary Clinton had going for her over the last couple of weeks is she had people, her base, rallying to her, these millennials who were sort of iffy on her a little bit. These kind of revelations, this kind of news might dampen the enthusiasm for some of those softer Clinton voters, and that won't help her in the end either.
What about that, Monica? Because there was a report today that that's part of Trump's game plan is to dampen enthusiasm and actually suppress voter turnout from the key groups that she needs. Will this help?
Yeah, I mean, Mrs. Clinton has always had a difficult time with voter enthusiasm for her and on her side, so this certainly does not help. We've got a group of about 10 to 20% of undecideds. That's the target that both sides are going for. Certainly Donald Trump needs that group of undecideds. So if you're Mrs. Clinton and her campaign, Megan, tonight, you have to be worried that these kinds of disclosures are chipping away at them, and they're just saying, and I hear this refrain over and over again, I cannot do the Clintons again.
Bill,
I can't do it.
I'll give you the final word. Do you agree that, I mean, there may be chipping, but could there be enough chipping that it actually threatens her lead, whether it's 3 points or 10 points, depending on which poll you look at?
No. There's no poll in America that shows 10 to 20% undecideds. This race is cooked, and I don't think that anything about these new documents that Vladimir Putin wants American voters to see are going to shift those few undecided voters to make Donald Trump president. It's just not going to happen.
It's a weird thing because, they are hacked. You feel a little uncomfortable because it's a valid point that they're hacked and we just sort of go ahead and cover them, but everybody's covering them and they've become a major political story. So anyway, it's important to have the reminder. So Russia, Putin, bad, and then we proceed. Great to see you all.
Thanks, Megan.
Russia, Putin, bad.
Russia, Putin, bad. Lots of news still ahead tonight, including Charles Krauthammer on what we just learned about Trump's future plans for the Republican Party. Plus, Mr. Trump was today telling supporters to go watch a film by Michael Moore? What the heck is going on here? We have an exclusive tonight with the filmmaker. Stay tuned.